guys, Earshock here with another Pro Tools 10 tutorial. Today we will be discussing automation, and we will understand all the automation modes and understand the automation window. Now this tutorial might be in 2 parts or 3 parts because there's a lot to talk about with automation, such as plugin automation. I may get into it in this tutorial, I may not. But if I don't get into it in this tutorial, I'll definitely go vividly into it in the next tutorial. So let's discuss the 5 automation modes that are for non-HD systems. If you have an HD system with the complete production toolkit, you will have more automation modes than this. But off obviously means your automation is not being read. Read means you're reading automation that's on that track already, that's been printed. And touch writes automation when an enabled control is touched or clicked. It continues writing until released, and then when it's released, the control returns to previously written levels at a rate set by the auto match preference setting. So what that's saying pretty much, your preferences, and that's under setup preferences, and under mixing you have an auto match time box down here. You can change the time of when that automation will go back up once it's written, and let's show you an example of that. And this is just an instrumental I made a while back, so bear with me here, guys. As you can see there, when I lowered the automation, and I just got to that window, the volume window, just by clicking here on the volume here, and it brings up my little window there. And when I released it, it just jumped right back up at that 250 milliseconds, I want to say. Yes, milliseconds. And you can change that and make it, faster or not. I leave it at the default setting. And that was obviously touch mode, and as the definition says, it goes back up when you release it. And let's show you another example of that over here. So that is touch mode. So you can do some interesting things with that. As if you saw at the beginning here for the intro, I lowered it and it sounded pretty nice lowered. I haven't done any automation to this instrumental yet. I just imported it into Pro Tools, so I may do some automation on this track, specifically this track too. I should have mentioned that the way to get this track into automation mode, you got to make sure that over here on your track, it's not set to off, it's not set to read or read. I said read. It's set to touch, or any other one that you want here, like latch or write. But normally you wouldn't use write because that one replaces any existing automation. We will talk about that in a second. So in touch mode, it does that release thing. When you let it go, it comes back up. And also, before you even start writing automation, you should go to your automation window, which is under Window, Automation, or you can hit Command 4 on your numeric keypad and it brings up your window automation. And make sure that your suspend isn't set to red. Normally, by default, when Pro Tools opens, is not, but you never know. If you're trying to write automation, you might want to check this first. We'll talk about more of that window and heavily in a second, but let's go back here to my Word document here. As you saw, we discussed the auto match preference setting. Now let's talk about latch mode here in Pro Tools. Latch mode, the definition is writes automation when an enabled control is touched or clicked and continues writing until playback stops, or the control is manually auto matched back. So let's show you an example of that. Let's set this track back to latch mode. and let's set it about right there, and let's get into this. Alright, so as you saw there, I was lowering here, and when I released it, it just completely made a straight line here until I touched again and made it active and came back up. I came back up with it, and I let it go, and it made a straight line here. And then when I touched the automation again to lower it, it lowered it. I let it go, created a straight line here again, and then that's when I stopped playback. So this one you can really do some creative stuff with it. I use Lash Mode the most just because I have more flexibility. But if you know exactly what you're doing and you want some interesting things to do, I mean, you can always just use your pencil tool. You can create some interesting automation with your pencil tool here. And in fact, let me go back to my smart tool, delete this, use your pencil tool here, and notice it's going by the grid that I set. So right now I'm at a bar, and it's editing that way. And obviously this is a stereo track, so I would have to do something similar to the bottom here. Well, when I first started doing the automation, I should have made sure that it was through the whole track. Let's delete that little nub there. So with your pencil tool, you can get some interesting things going on. There's a square here you can do, so you can adjust this with the square as well. Do something like that. Let's hear how that sounds. You can see it's going back and forth there. Let's see what else. I mean, you got the randomness too. You can set this to random, as long as your grid set to 1 bar and it's active. It'll start doing some random stuff here. This would probably be good for a very crazy instrumental that's just all over the place. Let's see, and it's unique. Here you can draw lines, do like a build up and a fade. So I'll wait for you guys just to hear the effect. you saw there, that was a cool little effect. I like that a lot. Just makes your instruments or whatever you recorded more interesting when you use automation, and takes your sounds to the next level. Freehand here with the pencil tool, you can just draw whatever, and the automation will take that form. You can edit this form, and with the pencil tool, you just hit Alt and you can delete. It switches it back to the eraser. You can delete little points here. You saw I'm doing. Probably be better just to use your smart tool if you want to select a couple and just get rid of them all at once. All right, so we talked about latch mode here, and let's get into write mode. All right, write mode writes automation from the time playback starts until playback stops and replaces any existing automation on the track. All right, so let's get back here. Let's put some automation on the track, some existing automation, I should say. And see, that automation is there already. So get into my smart tool, and I'm gonna hit play space bar on my keyboard, and it's gonna start writing automation right away. Alright, so as you saw there was automation here previously. It just made it a straight line because I wasn't adjusting anything as far as volume is concerned here. And the way to get to that, sorry guys, should have mentioned this earlier. If your track is like this, showing your waveforms, you have to click here and go to volume, and it shows your volume automation line. And that's how you get to that. And you can do the same for your mute, your pan left, pan right, and etc, etc. So let's go back to volume. I'm just adjusting volume right now. Sorry, I should have mentioned that earlier. And again, you can do that for every track. Alright, so that was write mode. Let's talk about the little automation window I brought up earlier. Let's delete that. So this automation window, let's undo, is what non-HD systems have. And if you have HD system or a production toolkit 2, complete production toolkit, you'll get more settings in this. You'll get like the manual write and auto join and write on stop functions, and it'll be like down here somewhere. But this is all you get with non-HD versions, and it's pretty simple. I mean, you can suspend all automation. So if I were to play this right now, my volume is set. Let's see what this is. 0. It stays at 9.5 here, as you can see. Now if I were to play it back with just the automation, so you can see here, I don't have it suspended, and now I do. No, I don't. This is good. This is good to do when you've written automation on a bunch of tracks. Let's say on most of your tracks you pretty much finished, and it's like a bypass function when you start mixing and putting EQ and compression on your tracks. You want to suspend it to play it back on the parts that you have automation to listen to see if the automation you're making is making your song progress or not, and this is what you would use here. This plugin function, this just disables. Right now it's enabled. I know it's the opposite of the suspend button. When you have this red, it suspends all automation. for everything, for plugins, volume, your pans, your mutes, your send volume, your send pans, and your send mute. And it's the opposite for these. So once you have this clicked and it's gray, that means it's disabled. So these will be disabled right now. So right now we don't have this suspend clicked, but my volume automation is disabled. So I lied. What is this? Why is this? Enable volume automation. Yeah, I should disable it. I don't know why it's not doing it. That's alright. You can always just suspend it up here. This must be just for plugins, excuse me. Yeah, that's why this is written here. Okay, so that's right now. You guys learned quite a bit about automation. Like I said, best mode I think is latch mode, just because it stays on when you use latch mode. It stays at its point. It doesn't come back up, and normally that's what you want when you do automation. But then again, you can be doing other things, and you can have your mode to use by default here. Set this back to 0. That's pretty much all I got for you for this tutorial, guys. Sorry I didn't get into the plugin automation. I will do that next tutorial for sure, so stay tuned, and I will get in depth in that, and I will be doing some more automation with that. This is Earshock, Earshock out. And before I go out, sorry, don't forget to subscribe and leave any comments if you wanted to see anything in this tutorial. Again, I always tell everyone, just leave comments, and I'll get back to you guys, and I'll try my best to do another tutorial or show you whatever you guys want to learn in Pro Tools. Alright guys, again, Earshock out.